Pigweed here. Today we have a short show where we discuss, is abortion health care? All right.
Hey,
Good evening, Crowhill.
good to see you, Pigweed. So what about some beer and conversation?
I think that's a great idea. What are we drinking?
Well, we're drinking this stout. Chesterton got us this interesting stout from Atlas Brewing Company.
Very good.
All right.
Love it.
Yeah. So what's on your mind?
Well, I was thinking about the abortion argument because with the recent election, there were a lot of people who said, this whole election hinges.
Well, that's the That was the only thing Democrats really ran on. Was abortion.
They did, and this is as a result of the Dobbs decision, Roe v. Wade. So I was thinking about the various arguments, they weren't even arguments, slogans.
Yeah,
I think slogans are better.
Yeah.
My body, my choice.
Right.
Abortion is health care. This is not a person yet.
Right.
What a personhood
Yeah,
stuff.
you've seen that picture of the very pregnant woman who wrote on her belly, "Not yet a person."
Disgusting.
Yeah, it is disgusting. What an attitude.
I know, and
I feel sorry for that kid.
I know the life he's going to have.
Yeah.
With
Going to grow up and then see that picture. Oh,
Yeah.
Mom, I see.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I see what you
Glad
thought
I made
about
it.
me. Yeah.
Anyway, but there's the other angle that I want to dig into a little bit, and it's sort of it has an interesting appeal, but as you can imagine, will fall apart.
Okay.
It's the keep your laws off our bodies.
Right.
The government has no business making decisions about women's health care.
Right.
And this is a decision between a woman and her doctor.
Okay.
So, if you're talking about terminating a pregnancy to save the life of a woman, there are no laws against that. That's not your front and center argument because that's not even up for discussion.
I don't think there's a state in the union that doesn't allow that.
Right. So what I'm asking is, this decision that's between do women who want abortions go in and say, "Doctor, I'd like to discuss something. This is a decision I need you to help me make."
No, they just go and say, "I want an abortion."
No, see, the doctor would say, "Well, what are you doing here?
Right.
Go to an abortion clinic. Why did you?"
What are you talking to me about? Yeah, there's so many things in the debate. There's just a bunch of nonsense that has no bearing on reality. It's not a discussion between the doctor and the woman. The woman makes this decision and then hires the doctor to do a procedure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like they're sitting around having a moral conversation.
No, and that's what all of this, obfuscation of what's really going on.
It is obfuscation. That's exactly what it is.
Because in a way, I like the idea. Politicians getting involved and making decisions. Well, are you saying there should be zero laws? Right, because that's the only way to get politicians out.
Yeah.
Zero laws regarding abortion. So you don't mean going back to Roe v. Wade.
No, because Roe v. Wade did establish rules. A lot of people will say they want to affirm Roe v. Wade. No, they don't, because Roe v. Wade set up the 3-trimester system, where in the first 3 months,
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. They made it up out of
They found it some obscure section of the Constitution.
In the emanations and penumbras.
Yes,
That's right.
Thank you.
So the first trimester, then you could have an abortion then. The second trimester was questionable, and the third trimester was the interest of the baby comes first, right? So people don't want to go back to that because the Democratic platform is you can kill the baby right up to 5 minutes before it's born.
Ask any of them.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, France and Spain and Germany and European countries have way more restrictive rules about abortion than anybody in the United States does.
And each one of these restrictions involves what? A lawmaker.
Yes, of
a
course.
Politician, people making their arguments, and coming between you and your 9th month abortion.
Yes.
And
if you're in France, you can't get an abortion when you're 8 months pregnant.
God,
it's just sick to think about. But anyway. Yeah. So this idea that keep your laws off my body
must mean you approve abortions until birth for any reason.
But does that mean that what if I go to the doctor and say, "Doctor, I really don't think this arm belongs on me. Cut it off."
Right.
And and there's a law that says, no, you can't do that.
Right.
That's a law affecting my body. Is it a reasonable law?
I
would think so.
Now, you would think there'd be some pause if you said cut off my Johnson,
Yeah.
but there actually isn't. There's a lot of money to be made for that.
What if I said I want to ingest these substances? You know?
Yeah.
And is the law allowed to tell me, no, you cannot ingest these substances? Well, we've agreed, yes, it can.
Yeah.
So this whole keep your laws off my body
Yeah.
stuff is just stupid
I
talk.
know. It's just sloganeering
Yes.
because your argument isn't solid, so you make up straw man arguments
Yeah.
and
when they say
what sound to be reasonable sloganeering.
Yeah, when they're trying to say that this is a matter of the woman's life, they mean life in the sense of, you're destroying the way a teenager would, you're destroying my life by not letting me drive a car. That's what they mean. It's not actually a question of the woman's life. It's
I'm not actually going to die, but I've got all these plans. I wanted to go to Europe next summer.
Right, that's what they mean. That's what they mean. Yeah. It's not
like,
their
Dad.
life. It's not their life. It's their lifestyle. It's their life choices. It's not their life.
Right.
Because nobody forces a woman to have a baby if it's going to kill her.
No. So it seems to me what they're actually saying, unless they're really talking about moment of birth for any reason, then what you mean is, okay, I'm against a total abortion ban,
Yeah.
but I understand there are limitations. And as soon as you say I understand there are limitations, then yes, you've made room for the government and politicians and whatever your other argument was to come in, and they're going to have something to say about this.
And if you follow the logic of the pro-choice people, which is this baby shouldn't interfere with my life, then why can't the mother kill the baby after it's born?
And it's like, I didn't know it was going to cry so much. I'm getting such little sleep. It's interfering with my life.
Yeah. Now, I guess what they would say is, well, at least then they have the opportunity to give it up for adoption. So I mean, there's at least an argument there. But this idea of abortion as health care, I was wondering, what defines health care? What does health care mean?
Right.
I mean, generally speaking, health care means the maintenance or improvement of health through prevention, diagnosis, treatment, management of illness, injury, and other physical or mental impairments. A baby isn't an impairment.
No.
A baby isn't a disease.
Right.
A baby isn't a wart or a tumor, A baby is a new life. So in what sense is abortion health care? I mean, I suppose somebody could try to make the case that abortion is mental health care, and going back into this, it's going to ruin my life thing.
Yeah.
But abortion as health care just doesn't really. No, it's not health care. You're killing the baby.
Well, yes, it's definitely not helping one of the two of you.
Yeah,
That's
right.
right.
It's not health care for the baby.
No, it's not health care for the baby. And my body, my choice, the same thing.
Now, what about people who say, some people will say that the baby isn't really a human being yet.
Right.
That, like the baby, like a clump of cells where there's 12 cells stuck together, that's not a baby yet. Or when the baby's a month old, it's not a baby. It's only a baby after a certain point. And up until that point, it's okay to abort the baby.
I know. That's a very tough.
It's a tough line. I don't know where you draw the line.
No matter where you draw the line, you can say, "What about the day before that?"
Exactly.
Oh no! Definitely not a person.
Yeah, there's no bright line, right? There's no clear place where you can say.
It all seems very arbitrary. I have sympathy for that.
Yeah.
But again, if we're just talking about who has the better argument, working your way backwards from obviously
a minute before birth, it's still a baby.
So as soon as you start working, no matter where you end, you're going to end up somewhere arbitrary.
Yes. Well, they might say something like viability or something like that. But why is that? Why does viability determine whether it's a human or not? That doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't. But I think people have just felt comfortable with that one there. But when it can feel pain, I mean,
right? But an ant can feel pain. I don't know I don't know where you draw this line. If you're going to say it's not a person and then it becomes a person, well, then it's kind of like this. I'm driving down the road, and there's a box by the side of the road. Okay, a big cardboard box, and I think, boy, it'd be fun to just run over that cardboard box. And then the person sitting in the car next to me says, well, there might be a kid playing in that box.
Yeah.
Right?
A box full of kittens.
Yeah, or exactly, a box full of, but, so I say, I don't know that there's a box full of kittens or a kid in there. I'm going to run over it anyway, right? So it's incumbent on you to say, no, I'm certain there is not a kid in that box.
Yeah.
Before you can run over that box.
Yeah.
So the argument shouldn't be on the pro-life person to say, we need to prove when a baby becomes a human. The argument has to be it's incumbent on the pro-choice person to say, no, we know at this point it's not a human being.
Yeah.
And how can they know that?
That is so often the case when you have an eternal standard, like marriage is between a man and a woman, and then the gay marriage people say, ask that you make the argument against them.
Yeah.
No.
You're the one who wants to change things.
You want to upset the whole apple cart here. Right. You make the argument.
Yes. You tell us why. By the way, did you see the clip of Alan Keyes responding to the question about gay marriage?
Yeah, he crushed it and just
and
didn't.
Obama sat there looking like a total numbskull.
Yeah.
But Keyes, gosh, he was a smart man.
Yes.
I don't know if he's even still alive.
I don't know. I haven't heard from him in some time. So the effort to take the extreme cases and make them the standard.
Yeah, hard cases make bad law.
Right.
And,
So here, how about this one little here? Is this what they mean by women's reproductive health? And here's a teenage girl saying what?
Yeah, here's this sort of weird-looking teenage girl. Today I will use victims of rape and incest to support my argument for abortion so that I can keep on having unprotected sex with strangers consequence-free. And that's pretty much, you know what it really comes down to? What it really comes down to is women wanting to have the same, what they would consider sexual freedom as men.
Right.
Which is that men can have sex and they don't get pregnant, right? So women want the same thing.
There's so many ways to not get pregnant.
But the fundamental thing is to try to say that men and women should be equal. Mm-hmm. You know, like, it's not fair. A woman would say, well, a man never faces this kind of situation where he has a other person growing inside of him. Well, yes, that's true, because you know what? Men and women are different. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. So the feminist movement, which tried to say men and women should be treated equal in all circumstances, ended up in this crazy position where they said, well, if men can have consequence-free sex, which of course is nonsense, men can't have consequence-free sex, but if they can, then women should be able to. Therefore, you have to have contraception, you have to have abortion.
Yes, and yes, there you can.
And by the way, we're not saying anything against contraception.
you can choose. There are ways for you to choose to not be pregnant. Mm-hmm. You might want to consider those. How about when you had these celebrity dads making the case, for Harris by saying, they want their daughters to be free to have So
really, you want your daughter to be a hooker?
No. You want your daughter to freely have sex with randos and abort your grandchildren.
Yeah, like that's a lovely grandfatherly thing to say. Yeah.
So important for me to make sure that my daughter can abort my grandchildren.
Did you see the Volvo ad today?
No.
So Jaguar came out with a new disgusting ad. They're going the Bud Light path.
Good for you.
Then Volvo just put out a long commercial, like 3.5 minutes. They posted on Instagram, and it's about this family having a baby. And it brings a tear to your eye. It's a lovely commercial, but it's about the joy of a young couple having a baby and the baby growing up and protecting the baby and all this kind of stuff. And you look at it, and you just go, "What a lovely commercial! Okay. I want to go buy a Volvo."
This is the return of the normies right here.
It is. You got to watch the commercial though. It's amazing.
All right. Well, I'm a sucker for those kinds of things.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
how about this though? Yes, a woman can avoid getting pregnant in vast majority of cases. What if she's raped?
Yeah. Well, it's not the kid's fault.
Yeah. So exactly.
Or did you see? Did you see the kid? I don't know, it was some Congress or whatever, making who had Down syndrome.
Yeah.
Talking about the numbers of
children who are aborted because they have Down syndrome. Yes,
syndrome.
exactly. That was a very touching.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I know people with Down syndrome. They're lovely, loving people.
Yeah. Who would want to have? Who as a parent would want to have?
I know. Well, the kid's different for sure.
Yeah.
But kids with Down syndrome are usually very kind, nice people.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, but okay, so here's the other side of it, though. If you say...
rape and incest?
Yeah, rape and incest. Yeah. Okay, so why is it that rape is worse than just beating somebody up?
Right.
Because you are imposing on this woman in an additional way.
Right.
So the fact that the woman can get pregnant is why rape is such a serious crime.
Right.
So, but then, as you said, if somebody needs to die here, it's the rapist, not the baby.
Okay. Anyway, I didn't want to drag that out too far, but I just thought that it's just another weak argument.
Yeah. It's just slogans and emotion and not impressive at all.
Anyway.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.